Hey guys, welcome back to Britt's Book Corner. Today's video is going to be all about my May goals. For the month of May, I have one writing goal and a couple reading goals, and each one of those goals needs an explanation, so I'm just going to jump right in. So, my writing goal for the month of May is to get draft 2 finished for Project Kiss. And the reason I'm saying get draft 2 finished is because I've already started draft 2. And this is where the explanation comes in. So, when I finished writing my last chapter and finished the entire manuscript for the first draft, I decided to start doing my read through because a lot of my chapters were written back in the beginning of February, end of January, and I was like, okay, those have sat for a long time. I mean, it's April, so why don't I just start on those chapters that I wrote early and just slowly get up to the point where I am now, where I started recently in April, and just kind of slowly work through it. And then I thought, well, why don't I just do, a couple chapters and then read a couple chapters, make notes and all that stuff, and then edit those. And that's kind of where the idea came from a little bit. And so what I did, and what I ended up doing, is I read all of Act 1's chapters, and then I did all of my notes and all that stuff for my Act 1, and then I edited my Act 1 into my Draft 2 document. So Draft 2 is started, technically, but it's going to be a while before I can actually finish it, if you know what I'm saying. I guess you could say that I have a second goal for the month of May for writing, and this is to fully 100% commit to moving on as the title, or if I'm going to change the title, because as I've said, I want this book to be a series, and that's, obviously just going to be what it is. I want it to be a series, at least a 2 or 3 book series, and I want each book to be a standalone in this series. And I realized that the series is following siblings, so I don't know if I want to change the name to something else or what I'm going to do. I still have to come up with that kind of decision and thought process and all of that. So I guess my second goal for writing is to fully commit to a title and a series title and be ready for that. For my first reading goal for the month of May is I am challenging myself to what I'm calling a shelf reading month. And this is literally a shelf reading month. I'm not going to be reading off of my Kindle. I'm solely going to be reading physical copy books off of my bookshelf. Now let me explain to you guys how and why I chose this goal. So how I chose this goal is I was thinking I wanted to do some kind of fun reading challenge. And I had quite a few different ideas in my head. And I had my kids pick books for me. Like I was going to let my kids pick a book off my shelf and I'd have to read that book. I thought about, pulling out just a couple books that I wanted to read and letting my dogs choose. I thought about, doing Instagram polls, like an Instagram controls my reading for the month. I also thought about reading books with the titles beginning with each letter of my first name. And that one I'm still working on, but I really put a lot of thought into that one at first. And so I went as far as planning out which books I could possibly read, just to make sure I had books that covered all of my letters in my name. And what I found was most of my books because I have 2 T's in my name, so most of my books that I have that start with the letter T, the word at the beginning is the. And I didn't really want to count the because, that's just not, I want to say that's not fair, but that's just not how I wanted to do this. So I wanted to figure out just how I could do that. And I still have to go through my books and figure out if I have any that start with the letter T, because I know of one, but I'm not sure of any of the others. Shelved all those ideas, and once I shelved them, I was like, okay, now I really need to just buckle down and figure out some kind of fun challenge for myself. And even though I wanted it to be fun, I did want it to be a challenge. And so I thought up a no reread month. And then I got to looking and I went back through and I said, well, have I reread anything at all this year? And I went back through my list and I've not reread anything this year. So far in 4 months, I've not reread anything. So, even though I could say that was my challenge, I've already done it for 4 months. So I wanted to shelve that. And then I was like, okay. And as I was looking at my list, I realized in the month of March and April, I've read more books, more ebooks on my Kindle than I have physical copy books. And that kind of struck me because I'm still continuing to add books to my ever-growing book collection on my shelf, and I'm not reading these books. I'm buying these books and I'm putting them in my rotation, but I'm not reading them. I'm reading more on my Kindle. And that's when it hit me. I wanted to do a shelf reading month because I really, really just wanted to challenge myself and see if I could go an entire month without reading anything on my Kindle. Second reading goal is to be vigilant of what I'm reading, meaning I want to pay more attention to my list on my phone of what I'm reading versus just picking up a book and deciding that I'm going to read it whether or not I've reread it at all. I want to try to continue my no rereading streak all the way throughout May, so I want to shy away from reading anything that's on my list of books that I've read since the beginning of the year. I chose to do this goal because I really do want to focus on not rereading anything for the month of May. I do want to see how long I can get in this year without rereading, but I want to try to be vigilant in the month of May so that I'm actually physically looking at my list on my phone to make sure that I'm not rereading. I don't want to just go up to my shelf and grab a book off of it and say, oh, okay, like this is what I'm reading and have already read it. You know, I want to be vigilant and just make sure that it's a book that I have not read in the previous months. So that is it for my May goals. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Comment down below what your goals are for the month of May, reading and writing wise, or just life wise. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Bookstagram so that you guys can see all of the books that I read throughout the month of May in real time and get my honest reviews on them. Don't forget to follow me on Wattpad because I have officially released the first quite a few chapters of this book, and I am super excited for you guys to read it. As always, all my links to my social media are in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.